hands behind head. We'll bring the feet a little bit wider apart and then start to drop both knees over to the right. Just let the legs hang. You don't need to add any extra pressure. Take a big breath into the left side rib cage. And out. And the next inhale, retain. So breathing in deeply. Hold the breath in there. Exhale, let it go. One more of those, breathing in deeply. Retain the breath. Exhale. And slowly knees to the opposite side. Just let them hang, no need to add any extra overpressure. Breathing into the right side ribcage deeply. And out. Let's inhale deeply and retain the breath. Exhale. And again, inhale deeply. Hold the breath in. And exhale. And then legs lifting straight back up. Let's bring arms back down by our side. We're going to push into both feet gently. And then take the right leg straight in front. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale to bend in. Inhale to lengthen. And then exhale, come down, pause halfway. Here I want the top of your foot pulling towards your knee. Your quad is switched on. You're pressing your heel away. We're keeping downward pressure in the left heel. Take another breath. And then exhale, just gently lift the head and then lift your arms. And then begin to take the leg down and just pause. Just squeeze the glute just before the heel touches the ground. And then you can relax the right leg down, relax head and shoulders down. And then bringing the right foot in under the knee. Or inhale, lift this left leg up. Exhale to bend in. Inhale, left leg lengthens. Exhale, come down halfway. So just pausing here. Top of foot towards knee. Quad switching on. Push down a little bit into your right foot. Take another breath, and then as you exhale, lift your head, then lift your hands. And then start to bring the leg down. We want to pause just before the heel touches the ground by really squeezing your glute. And then you'll let your left leg relax. Head and shoulders can relax. Then both feet coming in. And then right leg out, inhale, lift up. Exhale to bend. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, lower down. Now as the knees cross, try and use that same technique. Top of foot towards thigh, kneecap up thigh, squeeze glute just before the leg touches. And then the right foot comes in. Left leg out. Inhale to lift. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lower down. Now as the knees cross, top of foot towards knee, quad switching on, kneecap up thigh, squeeze glute just before heel touches, and relax leg down. Left foot in, right leg lengthens. Inhale to lift, exhale, squeeze. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale coming down, quad switching on just as those knees cross, glute switching on just before heel touches. Right foot comes in, left leg out, inhale, exhale, draw in, inhale to lengthen, and exhale, coming down, quad switching on, then glute switching on, left leg in, right leg out, inhale, lift up, exhale to bend, inhale to lengthen, and exhale coming down. Now make sure you keep your left foot pushing down so your back doesn't arch. So this Opposite foot stays pushing straight down as you transition on the opposite side. Left leg out now. Inhale to lift. Exhale, bend it in. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Remember, push the right foot down. Let's take left leg down, squeeze glute. Both feet coming in, okay? Now just wiggle the hips off to the side so you can lie on your hands and then straighten out through your legs. We're going to take Matsyasana or fish pose. So push into the elbows and the head just tilts back a little bit. Should still be touching the ground. And then ease off. Let's do it again. Just again, a little press into the elbows. Back extends slightly. We'll keep the head resting on the ground. And then relax it all down. Beautiful. So just bring those hands out from underneath you. We're just going to take hands behind the head one more time. Legs, feet coming about mat width apart. Move back into your windscreen wipers. Legs to the right, but we'll keep it dynamic. So legs coming to the left, just moving slowly. Start to channel your inner Tai Chi master. Imagining that slow movement. Feeling like seaweed underwater. Just gently brushing from side to side. Beautiful. Let's come back to center. We're going to bring the feet back in under the knees. Now take your arms like a robot. Keep your elbows on the mat and try to push your shoulder down to the ground as well. So you're pushing both elbows down, both shoulders down. Now, I'll just drop my right arm here so you can see. When I push down like this, if I go too hard, the ribs will flare. So we want to find that point where we can pull straight down on the shoulders. We can pull straight down with the elbow, so both of those points pulling down. But we're not pulling so hard that the ribs flare up, okay? So you've got to kind of find a happy medium with that. Now take another breath, shoulders pulling down, and then exhale, lift up both legs. So you've got a tabletop position happening here. Now if you lift your legs up and your back starts to lift away from the mat, you can either just keep your feet down or just bring your knees in a little bit closer. So as soon as I bring my knees a bit closer to the shoulders, the back flattens. I don't have to push or use my muscles to flatten the back. Just the leverage, that load coming closer to my center flattens the back. So just hold that there, and then when you're ready to let it go, let it go. If you want to start to move a little bit deeper, we're going to start tapping the toes. So we're gently just keeping the elbows pulling down, the shoulders pulling down to the ground, not down to your feet. And then gently tapping those feet. As you do this movement, breathe. If you start to cramp up through the hip flexors or it feels like too much load on the tummy or the back, just please bring the feet back down and reset. And let's all relax. Just soften arms. Just let the elbows the arms rather come out at their natural angle. And then we're going to push down gently into both feet. And as I push forward, it's like I'm trying to get my feet stuck out of mud. So I'm pushing down and forward so that the tailbone stays tucked. If I don't really work on that, I'll get this arch in the low back. So again, it's down and forward. And you might only lift up a little bit or you might come a little bit deeper. It's up to you. Now maintain that downwards and forwards movement through your feet as you roll your spine back down. And again, we'll push straight down into the feet and then lift up gently. and then maintain that as you roll down. So you're always pushing down and forward through the feet with that movement. We'll try to keep the back of the shoulders on the ground. And lifting up. Beautiful, and lower. Okay, we're going to kind of bring all of this together now. Let's take arms back into this robot position. So you don't have to pull your elbows down towards your hips. You're just pushing your elbows straight down to the ground, your shoulders straight down to the ground. And then we're going to take right leg out, lift up. Exhale, bend the right knee in. Inhale, lengthen the right leg. Level 1, bring your right leg down. Level 2, see if you can lift your hips up and then take your right leg down. So we're pushing down into the left leg, and we've got the right leg here, extending away with the top of the foot pulling towards the knee. My elbows pushing into the ground here are helping to hold, and this left foot pushing down is helping to hold. And then I'll bring back down, leg down in a nice smooth movement. And then we'll bring right foot back in. Let's take left leg up, breathe in, and breathe out. Level 1, just keep repeating the leg lifts we were doing before. Level 2, we'll push down into the right heel. Drop the left leg a little bit more. Now we're working to isolate and really squeeze into the right leg. Top of left foot pulls towards knee. Keep your elbows down, and then you can roll hips down and bring leg down. Really good. Let's do one more round of those, pushing down into the feet. Right leg out. Inhale to lift. Exhale to bend. Inhale to lengthen that right leg. Exhale, let's lift the hips up and try and hold. So if your hammy is really tight, it's okay if your knee's a bit bent. If you've got a bit more length in your hammy, you can push your leg up. If you want to work the core more, you'll drop your right leg halfway. Keep your downward pressure in your standing leg. That's where your power comes from. And then roll down. We'll bring leg down, change sides, right foot in, and then lengthen the left leg away. Inhale, lifting left leg up. Exhale, bending in. Inhale to lengthen. Level 1, just bring the leg straight down. Level 2, we're going to squeeze into the glute. So really push down and forward through your standing heel. If your hammy's a bit tight, it's okay to have a bit of a bend in the knee. If you want to work the core more, drop your leg about halfway, top of foot pulls towards you, quad switching on. This is definitely my weaker side. I feel this really hard to hold with my right leg standing, and that's due to a few injuries there. And then we'll bring this left leg down, and then left foot in. Okay, so let the hips unwind, hands behind heads, back to windscreen wipers slowly. So your feet are wider than the mat. Just hang out on one side for a breath. And then let's take feet over to the opposite, knees rather, to the opposite side. Breathing deeply. Awesome. Now we'll bring the legs so that they're straight up again. Wiggle those feet in a little bit closer. Now yogis, we're simply going to roll onto our belly from this position. So just flip over and then pop your hands underneath your head. Okay, so you've got a little bit of a space between the knees. They're not touching. And we're just going to make our flossing movement. Heel in towards bottom. Try and feel that you can tap both feet with the same amount of pressure. If there's a little bit of clicking in the knees, It's okay to persevere through this movement because there's no load on the knees. If you feel like you're about to cramp up, just curl your toes and then press your heels away. And then come back to that flossing movement. Keeping the forehead down. And let's all curl the toes. And then press the heels away. Sit bones press towards heels. Kneecaps pulling up thighs. Pubic bone pressing towards the mat. And then let that relax. Relax the feet. Okay, let's push into the pubic bone, lift the chest, and then fly the arms back next to the hips. So your hands are just touching the hips here. Your elbows are drawing in. And you're breathing into your chest so that inhale fills the chest to help you lift. You don't really have to use your back muscles to lift too much. It's just enough so you're not face planting, and just enough so you can keep your hands on your hips and point the elbows in. And then try to bring the arms around slowly, palms face down, head takes a rest. And then push into the pubic bone. Again, we'll inhale, lift the arms back into our modified locust position. So keep your elbows pointing in towards one another. Collarbones are broad. And you're filling your chest with your breath. So your breath is doing the work for you. And then fly those arms back around, rest the head. And again, we're going to lift up here by using our breath back into locust. Elbows pointing in towards each other. Collarbones broad. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Make sure that you're not poking your chin forward. And then let's take hands back underneath the head. Okay. Now let's bend right heel in and then take it away a little bit. Pull the toes towards the knee and then try to squeeze your glute to lift your knee. It's a tiny movement. And then you can lengthen. We'll bend in left leg. Point the toes towards the knee. Just come away from the glute a little and squeeze glute to lift the knee. Let that relax. Right knee bends in. Unfurl a little. Pull the toes towards the knee. Then squeeze glute to lift the knee. Relax down. Left knee bends. Unfurl a little. Toe towards knee. Squeeze glute. Lift. It's not a very big lift. It's all got to come from your glute, right? So right foot in, unfurl the knee a little, toe towards knee, squeeze glute to lift, and lower. Bend the knee a little, uncurl slightly, squeeze glute, lift, and lower. Beautiful. Now yogis, we'll come back into your locust. So lift the chest, fly your arms back next to your hips. Your elbows are pointing in. Your collarbones rather are really broad, like they're smiling apart. And then see if you can squeeze both glutes to lift your knees. You don't have to lift up very high. It's not a high lift. It's just enough to engage those muscles. Now when you release, bring your hands either side of your chest. Curl your toes under. You can rest your forehead down. And then just push into your knees to lift your hips. So this movement here is like you're just trying to bring your knees up in, like you're trying to curl into a ball. Okay? So pull the knees in and that lifts the hips. Okay? Now the challenge here is to try to keep your elbows pulling in towards the rib cage as you push the ground away. So keep those knees pulling in like you're trying to curl into a ball and then push away through your arms. When you're up on all fours, you can keep your toes tucked if you like, or you can flatten through your feet. Just keep that tuck happening. Keep kicking down, straight down, into the top of your foot or your toes as you drop your hips back. So you go really slowly. And then we'll keep that downward kick there is where the energy comes to come forward, and then we'll extend through the back. We're going to open the heart. And then exhale, curl, maybe bringing hips to heels. It's okay if the arms come with you, pushing straight down. And again, pushing into the shins, coming forward, inhale. Now, if you don't have that much bend through your knees, you just go to wherever your knees range is, and then come forward. So you're just slowly starting to build that range or maintain that range through your knees. Okay, when you've got that range there, hips again to heels. There shouldn't be any clicking or popping or discomfort in the knees if your hips come to your heels. If you get that, stop. You're going too far. All right, yogis, let's open the chest now into Anahatasana. So forearms to the ground, and then you just walk your elbows a bit wider, then bring your forehead to the ground. Breathing in and breathing out as you exhale. The chest just sinks with the breath. As you inhale, the ribs are expanding out to the side. So just take a few breath rounds there. If this is too strong, you can try bringing your elbows a bit closer and just resting down on your forehead, or you can have a block under the forehead here as well, or a pile of books, whatever you've got. This is a little bit easier on the back and the neck than this, yeah? If you're okay with your arms stretched out in front, you can bring your hands into prayer and then your thumbs to the back of the neck. If you take this deeper variation, you should still feel like your breath is flowing. So if you come to that deeper position, but the breath is restricted, you want to bring your arms back in closer, okay? Exhale. Beautiful. Now let's bring the hands in, push back up onto all fours, and then we're going to stand on the knees. So as you stand on your knees, imagine like they're pushing out to the side, and then we'll lift up the hands, breathe in, and then exhale, take your hands down through your heart space, stretching out into the hips through gate pose next. Left foot out to the side. Your right hand, either reach it out to the side or take it in behind your left hip. And then I'm just pushing away gently here with this left hand, and I'm not letting my knee come forward. So I'm going to keep this down and forward pressure through my left heel, okay? And then right arm has the option to reach up and over. Breathing deeply. Now if you want to take this a little bit deeper, you can bring this left foot out to the side. Your toes face straight ahead. Kneecap pulls up thigh. Level 2. So just keep kicking straight down into your standing foot. So the top of the right foot, you're still pushing down, straight down into the ground, quite firm. If this pinches the hip or hurts the back, just keep this left leg bent. And then we're going to exit this pose by coming onto all fours, taking the weight out of our right knee. So just come around onto all fours, extend your right knee away, and then use your glute to lift your right leg. So you top a foot towards knee again, and then perhaps the left arm reaching forward here as well. Breathe. Then both hands down, both knees down. Feel like your knees want to drag open from one another to roll up onto the knees. Inhale. Exhale, hands down through heart. And then we'll pop right foot off to the side. Maintain this downward pressure into our left foot. Push away with that right hand, reaching left arm up and over. If this hurts your shoulder, you can keep your arm out to the side, or you can take the back of your left hand to the back of the right hip. Breathe. And again, you have the option to stay here or make this a little deeper, coming into Parigrasana with your right toes facing straight ahead. The kneecap pulls up the thigh. Keep kicking straight down into your standing leg. And you can lean just a little bit there if the body allows. Just rolling into the pinky toe side of that right foot. Beautiful. So when you come down, just remember our goal is to bring the weight out of our standing knee. So we'll pop that left leg back, give a little squeeze into the glute to lift and hover, and then take your right arm forward, balancing in bird dog. Awesome. Both hands down, both knees down. Option here, just to drop the hips back to the heels or thereabouts and rest the head, or you can come up into downward facing dog if you're ready. In your down dog, try to keep knees or legs a little bit mobile if this really pulls through the back of the hammies. We're working to point the sit bones towards the heels, ribs drawing in, and the top of the foot pulls up the thigh. Keep the inhale working around the lower ribs. Just visualize an umbrella opening out and closing. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Beautiful. Now, if you're in down dog and you know how to step through to a lunge from here, go for it. Otherwise, gently bring both knees down, then roll up onto the knees. Then step your right foot forward. Then bring your hands down. And again, you can use a couple of blocks here, either side of your foot if you like. If you find it hard to keep your hands on the ground in this position. So if you've stepped through to your lunge, you're welcome to keep the knee up or bring it down at any time. When we lift up, we want to try and keep pushing away through the heels so the glutes engaged. Try to keep your front knee from going over your toes. If you like, you can try just to lift the ball of the foot for a moment, and then you should feel that your hip starts to take more of the weight, and there's definitely more pressure in the hip than there is in the knee. If you feel no apprehension in the knees, no sense of giving way, you can come up to stand and just bring your hands to your hips. So I've still got a little bit of a baby bend in that back leg. Tail is tucked. And then I'm going to lift the arms. If you're really off balance, it's okay to just bring the left foot down. If you are up here, remember to keep your glute engaged. One more breath. Now let's bring the hands back down to frame this front foot. So we'll bring hands down, frame front foot, and then you can step back into plank or bring your knees to the mat. And then we're all going to lower down into chaturanga. So knees, elbows bend, forehead to the ground, then let the hips rest. Inhale, lift your chest. Take a baby cobra, just think slow-mo with every transition you take. And hands down either side of the chest, curl your toes, rest your head. And then to lift, remember it's like you're trying to drag your knees up into your belly. Squeeze elbows in to push the ground away. Rolling back, resting, on all fours in child's pose or downward facing dog. So you can be here in child's pose without going all the way, without taking the hips all the way to the heels, or you can take it all the way down. It's up to you, it's up to what your knees allow. It's very hot and humid today, so just take it nice and slow. Using your exhale, we'll draw those lower ribs in and keep the pubic bone, or the sit bones rather, pointing towards the heels if you're in your down dog. Okay, so if you're in down dog and you can step through to a lunge, go for it. Otherwise, we bring the knees down, stand up on the knees, then bring the left foot forward, then bring the hands down, and then curl those back toes to lift the back leg up. So just try for a moment to lift the ball of your left foot and eyeball your left knee. Make sure it's not coming over your heel. At any time this is too much, you just bring your knee back down. You can also use a block on each side here if your hands have difficulty reaching the mat. If you're ready to lift up, there's no apprehension, there's no sense of giving way in the knees, you can start to lift. You can take your hands to your hips or have your arms just hanging, or you can lift your arms up. Breathe deeply. Try and think about this right glute staying switched on. Make sure that you're not gripping your toes into the mat. You're really using the whole ball of the foot there where possible without squashing the top of the foot. So push your heel back rather than straight down. And then if you're steady here, keep those arms up for another breath. We'll bring hands back down to frame this front foot. Option to bring both knees down and then take child's pose. Option to step the foot back, take plank, or down dog if you don't want a vinyasa. So this movement from plank to chaturanga to cobra, then back to down dog, we call our vinyasa. So that transition, and that can be different, doesn't have to be the same all the time, but we want to make sure it's nice and slow. So if we're stepping back from our lunge, for example, you don't have to take the entire vinyasa, you don't have to take that entire sequence every time. If you're resting in down dog, keep it here, it should feel easeful. If it's not, you're here, or here, or here in child's pose. Another 5 deep breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Okay, so level 2, you can come back up into down dog and step your right foot forward. Level 1, easier option, again, just stand on the knees, take the right foot forward, then bring hands down. You don't have to go any further if you don't want to. Just being on your mat is enough, okay? If you're ready to come up a little bit deeper, we're going to curl those back toes, we're going to curl under through the tail, and we're going to lift the arms back up. Good. So again, if you're off balance, it's okay just to bring the pinky toe side of that back foot down. If the pinky toe side of this back foot's down, you don't want to do the next transition because it'll twist your knee. If you've got your heel up, let's try bringing hands we're going to take it back a notch. We'll bring left hand forward, right hand back. So you're twisting gently. Again, if this left foot's on the mat, this will be almost impossible and you'll torsion your knee. So left arm reaching forward, right arm extending back. Keep pushing away forward through your right heel to keep the hips grounded. And then from here, we're going to bring left hand down onto the mat, and then your right arm should just already be sort of where it needs to be. If this is too strong on your shoulder, you can bring your right hand behind your left hip. If this is too strong on your legs, you can bring your left knee down. One more breath. Make sure your knee is not drifting forward over that right leg. And then we'll take this right hand down. Again, we rest or we vinyasa. So you can take a down dog or a child's pose, or you can take a plank and then rest the knees down, or you can come through chaturanga, up to cobra, and then back to down dog. Remember, knees push into the ground, and then lift up. 5 breaths here, or 5 breaths somewhere in between Anahatasana and child's pose. Breathing in deeply. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We'll breathe in and out, and in and out. Again, if you are okay to step through your left foot from down dog, you may from down dog. Otherwise, gently bring the knees down, then stand up on the knees. And then take left foot forward. Then frame your foot. Then curl toes and push away. Push away your right heel, keeping your left knee behind the left knee. You can keep arms by your side or lift them up. Breathe. If you feel like you're just gripping with your toes, you can always sneak your foot in a little bit closer. So you want to feel that you can get the ball of the foot on the ground, but you're not squashing the front of the heel. You're lifting the heel a little away and then pushing away the wall rather than the ground with your heel. If this is too unsteady, you need to bring your right foot down. Be careful of twisting your knee. If you're here in your crescent lunge, you can bring your right arm forward and then your left arm back. If this is too strong, you can always just take the hands to the heart. Take another breath, and then just keep an eye on your knees as you bring your right hand down and then your left arm up. At any time you need to just take the load off, you can always just bring your right knee to the ground. And then we'll take both hands either side of that front foot. Remember, you can take down dog, straight to down dog and stay there. You can come onto all fours and stay there, or you can come to plank, then chaturanga, then to cobra, and then back, drawing those knees in, into your down dog. Let's all come gently down onto the knees. Just press into the top of the feet or the toes. Start to bring the hips back to heels. And then make 2 fists to bring your forehead down. And a more challenging version here is to push the feet away and then drop hips to heels. Both hands coming down. Just keep the breath flowing. Wonderful. So we're going to come to stand up. So you can make your way to standing or follow me through a transition to get there. Okay? So if you're able to come to down dog, you can come up to down dog. And then we'll walk the feet in a little bit. My heels are still up. And then I'll walk my hands back to the feet until the heels come down. And just grab the opposite elbow and hang. I don't have my legs completely straight. My belly's sort of resting on the thighs. And then when it's time to roll up, we can just keep the arms hanging. Press straight down into the feet. Then start to roll up nice and slow. And then you might bring your arms up overhead. Inhale. And then we'll exhale and take the hands down through our heart center. Okay. Just take Utkatasana. So a little bit of a bend here in the knees. Try not to let the butt stick out. We're tucking the tail under a little bit. And then we'll lift the arms. Knees, we want to try and face straight over the toes. I've got a tiny little space between the toes so my knees are in their anatomical position. They're not bowing in or out. Beautiful. Now, let that release come back to standing. And we'll go back to Utkatasana again, our chair pose. Tails tucked under, weight is in your heels. The ribs soften down a little bit. And then we're going to straighten, bring the hands down, take a little bit of a bend, and then lift the left heel, hands to hips. Now if you feel balanced here, try lifting your left foot up. If your balance is a bit unsteady, keep your toe on the ground, and just do a little baby lift every once in a while. If you can hold up, then start to straighten through your back leg, press the heel away. And then just lean the upper body forward to counter the weight of the leg. So you squeeze your glute. This is the same squeeze of your glute that we used when we were doing our leg raises at the start of the class. That same action, find it there. Elbows drawing in, hands either side of the hips, much like this locust position we were in just before. Now a little bit of softness in your standing knee, and then do a little bit of a motorbike bend, landing like a gymnast with nice soft knees. Let's take Utkatasana, chair pose. Tuck the ribs down. Breathe. And then let the arms come down, and then lift up your right heel. Maybe hands to hips. Lift your toe up a little bit. Working on balancing and strengthening your standing leg. If you can keep your foot up, try sending it back. If you know you lock your knees out, you've got to keep your knees a little bit bent. I know that there's at least 2 of you in this class tonight who have some pre-existing knee issues. You don't want to lock the knee out. Your balance will be wobbly, but it's better than grinding away what's left of a meniscus. If you can keep your leg up, I'm not trying to lean my upper body forward here. It's just coming forward because my leg's lifting, okay? Keep the glutes switched on, and then the elbows are drawing in. When you land, bend both knees again, land like a gymnast. Beautiful. Utkatasana. Inhale. Beautiful. Exhale. Lift up your left heel. Again, you might just hold here with a little bit of external rotation, or you might bring your foot up and rest it at the inside of the opposite foot. Or if you're super steady, you can bring your foot a little higher. Feel like the pubic bone tucks under here, and that locks your thigh and your foot together. And then if you're balanced, you can bring your arms up. Remember not to lock the knee, especially if you've got pre-existing knee issues. When you come down again, land like a gymnast, a bit of a bend in the knee, and then relax. Utkatasana, chair pose, tuck the tail under, and then we'll bring hands down, straighten legs, lift up the right heel, open through the hip a little by externally rotating, and then just bring your foot up. It might come straight back down, that's okay. It's better to keep doing this 100 times than doing this, right? If you're steady in your standing leg, tuck the tail under, feel like you're trying to draw the pubic bone and the ribs in towards each other without sucking your muscles in. It's just a movement, it's just slouching the ribs down slightly and tucking the tail under slightly. If you're comfortable there, you can lift up your arms. And again, when we land, it's with softness in the knee, and then you can let it go. Beautiful. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, fold forward with a bit of a bend in the knees here if you like. Inhale, halfway. Exhale. And then inhale, roll all the way back up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Lift up arms, breathe in. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Hands might be on the ground, they might be a little higher. Exhale, back to your forward bend. And again, starting to roll back up to stand. Inhale and exhale. We'll come to sitting. Inhale, arms are going to lift. Exhale, folding forward. Then instead of an inhale halfway, inhale, lift your chest, really use your hands, see if you can come into a squat. And then start to take your butt down onto the mat. Lean back into the hands, straighten out through the legs. And then you have the option to either lift here into a reclining plank, or bend the knees and just lift into a tabletop. Either way, we're not here for very long. Just switch on glutes. And then we'll take the hips down. All right. Roll straight down onto the mat. Rest the head. Rest the legs out in front. If you need to keep your feet under your knees, then keep your feet under your knees. Just take a few breaths here, and we'll start to really wind down, settle into the body. So feel free just to stay here if you like. Otherwise, we'll just take a little bit of an opening into our hips. Just place feet under the knees to start with. And then you're going to bend your right knee. And then point your right knee out to the side. And then see if the foot rests at the inside of the left knee. If that doesn't happen, keep doing this. You're just rolling in and out through the hip. So just exaggerating internal and external rotation. right? If the ankle is here, try to keep the right foot pulling back towards your knee. And then imagine you're trying to push your right foot to the left, but it doesn't actually go anywhere. So we're creating bandha, we're creating a lock using our actions, all right, rather than pulling on the hip. So again, you've got the right ankle to the front of the left knee. Your right heel is pushing to the left gently, but it doesn't actually go any further. It doesn't move off the knee. Beautiful. And then if you have no issues with your low back, you can take your right foot all the way down to the mat. Now my right shoulder rolled up here with me, okay? So I'm almost on my side with my upper body. And then if you want a little bit more, you just start to roll back towards the right shoulder and gently point your right knee up, and I'll use my left hand here just to help support the knee. I'm not forcing the hip open, it's just there as a little bit of help. Even just my fingertips just there to help keep my right leg down. Again, if this is really giving your shoulders some issues, you just keep that right hand sort of coming over the body like this. Nice deep breath. Now when you're ready to push back up to center, you're going to use your left elbow, push it down, roll up. Take your right leg straight up and then bend it a couple of times, telling the knee that it's not twisting. Then pop the right foot down. We'll bring our left hip into external rotation, pop the heel onto the front of the right thigh. If you can't make this position, this is the movement that we're trying to maintain, this internal and external rotation. So you can do this instead. If this is okay for you here, remember to maintain bandha. We're keeping the top of the foot pulling back straight towards the knee, and then imagining that the left heel is trying to push to the right, but it doesn't actually go anywhere. Good. Breathe deeply. And then if there's no issues with your low back, we're going to just let this left foot come down. I might roll all the way onto the right shoulder first. And then if the left shoulder is happy to come down, I can bring it down a little bit more. And then I'm just going to use my right hand just to offer a little bit of opening to the inside of the left hip. Breathe. Then I'm going to use my right elbow, push it into the ground, so my back has support when I come back up, and then straighten and lengthen through left leg a couple of times to untwist the knee, pop both feet down. Then we'll take our relaxation position. So if you're close to a wall and you want to bring your legs up the wall, or up on a couch, or over your bolster, you can. Otherwise, you can just rest the legs straight out in front. Try and have the palms. So if you go from robot arms and then just let the arms come down on a diagonal, it rests your shoulder in its anatomical position. The head resting on the mat, helping to bring alignment back to the top of the spine. And then try not to move once you're comfortable. Just experience the body. scan and ensure that we're not holding any tension in the jaw. Inhale.